The award-winning actor Ed Asner, who has been shooting Elephant Size in North Carolina. Great film. We'll get to talking about that in just a second. But beforehand, any roles that you've turned down you wished you hadn't turned down, or roles you wish you had been offered?
Not really. I mean, I've been asked this before, and I try to look back, and no.
And of course, you sort of broke new ground with a different generation of Ed Asner fans when you took on the voice and characteristics of Carl Fredricksen in the movie Up. Was that difficult? I don't mean this I'm serious. I mean, was it difficult to get into something and build a character when you're not really on camera?
No, I've done books. I've done 5 Carl Hiaasen books. You do 50 to 100 characters in each book. So I love the game of being a varying voice, and I loved Carl, and it was so beautifully written, so beautifully drawn. It was another yellow brick road job.
Right. Now we referenced earlier my friend Ed Simpson, who is the director.
He's your friend?
Well, we've known each other about 5 minutes.
Oh.
I think I saw him just before we came out.
Well, keep it at that.
Anyway, why now here you are, you've got plenty of things going on out in Hollywood. What in the world would possess you to come to North Carolina, film in freezing cold weather for an Ed Simpson film? What is Elephant Size about, and why was it worth it?
Well, they had a drug charge against me, and they said I had to do this movie or go to the judge, you know. So aside from
that,
it's a beautiful film. Beautiful film. They've cast it beautifully. Ed has written a great play, a great script. The crew has all been wonderful. We have a wonderful cinematographer, and the 4 other actors with me are just the best. And somebody referred to it as a bromance.
Yeah. A relationship film with men.
With men, as opposed to a chick flick.
Yeah. Can you give me like a 30-second rundown of what it is? I mean, what's the basic concept of it?
5 losers who come together. The 5th loser is a lawyer and somewhat resistant to such association. And in the course of the film, he's brought to understand that though he's with 4 other losers, that they can mean something to him and he can mean something to them.
Let me go off the point of talking about films and television for just a second and take you back to your Kansas City days. Anybody in particular a mentor to you or have a lot of impact on where you eventually ended up? Was it a dad, a mom, an uncle, a friend, a guy you knew, or a teacher? Anybody that you remember had an impact on where you ended up that you can look back and say, yeah, that was maybe a seminal point?
My family shaped me. I had a foreign-born mother and father who, my father was very austere and distant, and I was raised in fear of him, and it was a stupid thing to have happened, because if I had overcome the fear and gotten to know him and bugged him and gotten close to him, the stories I could have heard, the companionship we could have had. I was the youngest of 5, so the others were all running interference for me, and it was stupid, and I will resent it all my life. We could have had so much together. I had a great football coach who the coal miners were striking at the time, and among other things, and I said, well, you got to do something about those strikers. And he said, Ed, you can't take away a man's right to strike. And I think that influenced me in terms of any union activities the rest of my life. I had a great journalism teacher who had been a traveling historian during World War II, and he had pain in his eyes. He eventually became the principal. And I figured he witnessed a lot that he didn't talk about. But he was a beautiful, beautiful man, and I loved him. My sisters, they were a great both were social workers at one point. Great. My brothers were strong and bright and sharp.
All these great people you're describing, and I haven't heard you say once that there was somebody that sent you on the acting path.
No, that was my inner psyche. I became an actor on two grounds. It was good therapy, as in, well, I forget what it's called, psychotherapy. And it allowed me to escape into my romantic, it was safe adventure.
Right.
Acting is safe adventure.
You were trying to be romantic with my wife off camera before we started, by the way.
I was merely resuming where I'd been before.
All right, that's all we can stand. And we want to thank Edward Asner for being here and taking time out of his schedule and filming for doing the show. And good luck to you. And thanks a million for all you do for everybody.
I enjoyed